Oh my god. So, I highly underestimated LSD because I've tripped twice now with a single tap each. And, I'm sure it's underdosed here, but oh my god. I finally got a 10 strip of laid out, measured out microgram LSD, and they were 110 micrograms each. And I took a couple of them and told myself I was going to try to edit and use it for like a creativity boost, which it just sent me on my night. Like, holy shit, this was crazy. So I don't know if this was really good. My old stuff was really underdosed, or if just acid is. Oh my god. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Last night was so beautiful, and I can't even. I can't even begin. I still have a bit of an afterglow, and right now it's 1 p.m. the next day. I took the tabs at 5 p.m. yesterday, and I was tripping up until like I fell asleep at 8 o'clock, which sounds unbelievable. Yep, but yeah, right up until the second I fell asleep, whenever that was, my vision was completely wavy and everything was breathing. But the thoughts were so strong that I didn't even think about the visuals because they weren't even like that much of a difference from normal being sober. So I don't know if you guys watch Rick and Morty, but in the episode where he builds the mini verse with the guy, like, my brain was doing that every single 2 minutes. So I played my Pokemon video, and within that time span, it felt like I thought of an entire year of deep thoughts because it started and then it would start a thought loop, and then within that, there'd be like 4 layers deep. And another example by that is I just quick wrote a few words in order of what happened. So, like, I wrote edit bike pun, but what happened was, yeah, so I tried editing, and then that sent me on the entire spree because I was so in the moment that I didn't even really think about what I was doing. So I get on the bike, and this shows you how much of a stress reliever BMX is for me. I literally, 4 hours just went by. Like, I thought of 4 hours of concepts, and I think I started a thought loop when I went bike riding, and then over 4 hours, thought of super intense theories, and then every time that started, it would get into something else, and then you'd think of something else, and then my focus would attention there, but it would go into excruciating detail. So I would watch TV, and then it would show a joke, like on Arrested Development, and then when it pops up, even though the joke's only there for like 13 seconds, it feels like I've thought about that joke like 50 times already. And I guess that's the best way to explain. I don't know. I was expecting LSD to be like this actually, and the first couple of times I tripped, I'm like, oh guys, where's all the visuals and stuff. But now this is not something to just be fucked with. That's definitely for sure. If something bad happened, that would have like thrown everything off the rails. But I know I was tripping hard when at one point I was just riding my bike, and then I just out of sudden like snapped out of it from the 4 hour trance because I was so deep in my head thinking about stuff that I forgot that I was riding my bike, and then I finally just suddenly snap out of it and then look around, and I was like right by my house, and it literally felt like I was dreaming, and like my alarm was going off in the real world, and that was that, but that was just a pond. And I was sitting there going, what the fuck? Because this isn't one of those drugs that just makes you not know what's happening. It's like I knew where I was and what I was looking at, but it was so intensely beautiful. It was the best thing I'd ever seen at that point. And oh my god, I watched so much stuff. I mean, like I said, I was tripping for over like 14, 13 hours, or 14, 15 hours, and I just kept jumping from TV show to TV show, and everything in the world was so interesting. At some point, I wanted to just turn my brain off and like watch some TV because it was like 15 hours of. But what if life? But and That was absolutely crazy. And I just think it was fucking hilarious that it started off with me wanting to edit. So I'm sorry that there hasn't been a video, guys. But the next Trippy vlog is going to be amazing. So what I said about Rick and Morty in the beginning, literally what would happen to me was, the reason why I believe while I was on the bike, I was just suddenly dreaming was, that's happened. It felt like I lived my entire lifetime, like everything, meeting all of my friends and all of that stuff. Every single thing happened in the perfect order just for this one trip. And that just feels like my entire body just melted away. I'm just sitting there with my eyes closed and like Pink Floyd playing and just like seeing crazy ass shit. And but you'd be thinking for what feels like hours and hours and hours, but it's only been 2 minutes on one concept. But that would happen multiple layers. So I would start a concept, what is the meaning of life? Halfway through that thought process, well, what if it was? And then there'd be another one. And then while in this deep one, it literally feels like Inception, how the time alters different and stuff. Because I would be thinking about just one concept of it for what feels like hours, but, you know, only a couple minutes. And then I don't know, like I would stop thinking about it and I would open my eyes and like I said, just felt like hours and hours of free thought floating everywhere. But it was only in 2 minutes and um I don't know, it opens up a world of possibility because this trip was so unreal that I mean before, if somebody just told me my entire life was a video game simulation, I mean I wouldn't be surprised, but now it's like I really would not be surprised because just a single thought would take like an entire lifetime. And so I would not be surprised if my entire life is just like one acid trip, because acid's like a bunch of stories and just sensory overload of information within information within information within information. So like that's why with the painting I would have to focus on one central point, but then everything else just starts melting because on acid it's one step and then but there's 1,000 possibilities, and then you pick one and then there's 1,000 possibilities, and then yeah. But just literally just grasping any concept. Like literally just the concept that anything exists at all was insanely profound. And I don't know. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people say they feel like their eyes have been opened, but this is really, I mean, it's probably the closest thing to a spiritual encounter that somebody could probably have. I mean, it felt vaguely spiritual the whole time because, I don't know. I mean, all the time, I'm basically just thinking about what is the answers, you know, what are the answers to everything. But on acid, I was just sitting there, and I was like, you know what? Nothing makes sense, because I look at this dollar bill. I wonder how many people this dollar bill has touched. Think about every single one of those people, how many stories they have, like, and not only that, every single one of those stories includes multiple people, and each of those people have been raised since being a baby with I feel like this doesn't really cut it for an explanation. I'll upload this for now, but I think next time I trip, what if I did a trippy vlog? I don't know, I feel like that'd be kind of hard, but I don't even want to just say it's over. It's such such a beautiful experience. And that was the thing. Like I get a text from someone who's like angry, or just literally seeing anybody angry about everything. It's like, bro, the fucking just how astronomical it is. how astronomical it is that we're all here right now is bizarre. I really just don't know what to say. I don't condone the use of any substitutions, as always, but acid, really don't just take it to be like, oh, I want to get really, really fucking high. Like, not acid. It's ridiculous. I mean, the people label this as such a bad thing, but I've never felt more connected to the world in my life. Also, watching BoJack Horseman was like this private investment piece of art that I've been investing in since it came out, because I've watched the drug hallucination episode from the first season like over a dozen times. And for the first time ever watching it, oh my god. I mean, it felt almost as intense as that, because I've watched over a dozen times, so every single joke in there had like so many references. Every single joke in there was funny for like 1,000 different reasons, and every time a joke happened, you would think about every single 1,001 of those reasons. And that's why BoJack was the best thing in the entire world. I mean, it would pop up and there'd be like a couple of animation gags, like there'd be a movie poster with like a fake movie making fun of something. But just even a couple of those could spend a couple hundred thoughts just thinking about how awesome and clever that is. But every single frame was like that. And the entire life is like that. It's like everybody set this place up, this entire fucking place up, just so that you could have one awesome acid trip, because there's no way it could just be this beautiful. Every single thing has hours and hours of backstory, and there's just billions, trillions of things. I mean, there's probably... Alright. I think I'll end it there. I mean, last time I said I'll do an inane bullshit on acid, but that's clearly not going to happen at 330 micrograms. And that's the weird thing too. It's so in my head, because I mean, just looking like I'm staring off into space for 10 seconds is already, that could already just be hours and hours of free thought. So, alright, I'll try to get this up for you guys and not take 2 tabs of acid so that my entire day goes by. And the funniest part was when I was talking about all those thought loops and everything, I finally got back to this chair exactly 12 hours after the trip started. And I sat down and I was tripping balls, and I was looking around and everything was breathing and everything was just... And I look at the time and it was 12 hours. And that's why it's crazy on acid, because that 12 hours felt the same as, you know, the 2 minutes within the 2 minutes that I was riding my bike thinking about one concept, within the 20 minutes of a bigger concept, within the 4-hour bike ride. You know, that's like that entire 12 hours felt shorter than those 2 minutes. But yeah. So I've finally seen the true power of Lucy, and she's beautiful. So here's going on to the rest of life. You know, I just want to see a bunch of cool shit now. That's all. Because life's just a trip. 2 minutes of thought within a concept that took 20 minutes to think of, within an hour-long concept, within that 4-hour bike ride, felt longer than my entire life lived up until this point. So basically anything could happen, and I don't mind. Just... everything is so beautiful. Everything is so insane that it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming over all the bad things. It's crazy. Alright, I think that's the end of the trip report. Tell me how you feel about these kind of videos. I know a lot of people just like having the weed part of WeedTube, but I just had the most profound, like, 15 hours of my life. And there's still not a lot of awareness around psychedelics. I mean, a lot of people are okay with weed, but still a lot of people think psychedelics are crazy